Jack Mason wiped the sweat from his forehead as he guided his small salvage ship through the debris field. All around him floated the remains of forgotten battles and abandoned vessels, a graveyard of metal and memories. This was where he belonged. This was where he thrived. Just another day in paradise, he muttered to himself, his eyes scanning the sensor readings for anything valuable. Jack was known in the few human outposts as the Collector, a title he hadn't chosen but had learned to embrace. For 15 years, he had made his living by finding what others had thrown away or lost, fixing it, and selling it to those who couldn't afford new equipment. It wasn't glamorous work, but it kept him free. And freedom was something increasingly rare for humans. The Galactic Confederation, a union of 12 advanced alien species, had discovered Earth 60 years ago. Initially, they had presented themselves as benevolent guides, offering to help humanity join the galactic community. But their true intentions became clear soon enough. Humans were quarantined to their solar system, and a few nearby colonies, allowed only the most basic interstellar technology, and treated as little more than clever animals by most Confederation species. Jack was one of the few humans who lived outside those boundaries, surviving in the gaps of the Confederation's attention. His salvage license was technically legal, but the areas he worked were often in gray zones, places where the rules blurred and enforcement was spotty. His scanner beeped, drawing his attention to a section of debris he hadn't explored before. Something was giving off a faint energy signature, barely detectable even with his modified equipment. "Well, hello there," Jack said, steering his ship toward the reading. "What are you hiding?" As he approached, he saw nothing but twisted metal and shattered hull fragments. But Jack had learned long ago that appearances in space could be deceiving. He suited up, checked his oxygen levels, and prepared for a spacewalk. Outside his ship, tethered by a safety line, Jack moved with the practiced ease of someone who had spent more time in zero gravity than planetside. He pushed off gently from handhold to handhold, making his way toward the energy signature. The source turned out to be buried under a massive section of what looked like an engine housing. Whatever ship this had come from, it had been enormous, far larger than anything humans were permitted to build. Jack used his suit's small thrusters to circle the debris, looking for a way in. "There you are," he whispered, spotting a gap just wide enough for him to squeeze through. Inside the twisted metal cocoon, Jack's headlamp illuminated something that made his breath catch. It wasn't just engine parts or salvageable tech. It was the partial hull of an ancient battleship, its design unlike anything in current Confederation fleets. The metal was dark and patterned with symbols he didn't recognize, and despite being broken and battered, it had an elegance to it that spoke of highly advanced engineering. Jack's scanner showed the energy signature coming from deeper within the wreckage. He moved carefully, aware that even dead ships could be dangerous, especially ones of unknown origin. In what must have been a command center, Jack found the source, a small hexagonal device no bigger than his hand, pulsing with a soft blue light. It was intact, seemingly undamaged, despite the destruction all around it. "Now what are you?" Jack murmured, carefully detaching the device from its housing. As soon as he touched it, the blue pulsing increased in speed, and Jack felt a strange sensation, as if the device was scanning him. Then, just as suddenly, it went dormant. Jack's instincts told him he had found something significant. Not just valuable in the usual sense, but important. He secured the device in his collection bag and continued exploring the wreckage. Over the next 4 hours, Jack discovered more intact components. Damaged but salvageable weapon mounts, pieces of what might be a navigation system, and most excitingly, a mostly intact shield generator of a design far more advanced than what the Confederation used publicly. The ship had been massive once, and ancient. Carbon dating on his scanner suggested the wreckage was at least 50,000 years old, predating the Confederation itself. This belonged to a civilization that had risen and fallen before humans had even established their first cities on Earth. Jack's heart raced with possibilities. With enough time and the right additional parts, he could potentially piece together something from this ancient technology. Something that wasn't on the Confederation's restricted list because they didn't even know it existed. As he was preparing to return to his ship with his findings, Jack's warning system buzzed. A Confederation patrol vessel was approaching the debris field. If they caught him with this technology, the best he could hope for was life imprisonment. More likely, he would simply disappear. Jack worked quickly, using a camouflage net designed to mask energy signatures to cover the most obvious parts of the wreckage. He couldn't hide it all, but he could make it look like ordinary debris to a passing scan. Then he retreated to his ship, powered down all but the most essential systems, and drifted, hoping to blend in with the surrounding debris. Through his viewport, he watched the sleek Confederation patrol ship glide through the field, its scanning beams sweeping methodically through the wreckage. A tense hour passed before the patrol moved on, apparently finding nothing of interest. Jack let out the breath he had been holding and began planning. He couldn't move all the wreckage at once, but he could return with larger equipment. He marked the location on his private charts with a simple code that would mean nothing to anyone else: Phoenix Nest. Over the next few weeks, Jack made several cautious trips back to the site, each time taking only what he could safely transport and hide. He established a base in an abandoned mining facility buried deep in a large asteroid on the edge of a system the Confederation considered worthless. There, piece by piece, he began to assemble his find. The hexagonal device turned out to be a key of sorts. When connected to power, it projected schematics, holographic blueprints of the original vessel. Jack couldn't read the language, but he could follow the diagrams, seeing how the pieces fit together. It would take years to gather all the parts he needed, and he would have to improvise with technology from a dozen different sources to replace what was missing. But for the first time since the Confederation had confined humanity to their cosmic corner, Jack felt something long forgotten: hope. Looking at the slowly growing collection of alien technology in his hidden workshop, Jack allowed himself a rare smile. Someday, he promised the silent components, you'll fly again. And when you do, the Confederation will learn that humans are more than they bargained for. Outside, the stars continued their silent watch, indifferent to the ambitions of the small human working among the shadows. But in time, even they would bear witness to what was coming: a ship made from scrap that would become the galaxy's biggest threat. 3 years passed like a slow-burning star. In his hidden asteroid facility, Jack Mason worked with relentless determination, turning his discovery from dream into reality. The abandoned mining tunnels had become his sanctuary, expanding over time into a makeshift shipyard large enough to hold his growing creation. "Hand me the fusion coupler," Jack called out, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. Mac Jenkins, a burly man with a scared face and hands steady as bedrock, passed the tool without looking up from his own work. "This weapon mount is almost ready," he said. "Never seen anything like it. Could probably cut a Confederation cruiser in half." Jack nodded appreciatively. Finding Mac had been a stroke of luck. The former weapons specialist had been serving a life sentence in a Confederation prison camp for the crime of unauthorized weapons research. Jack had freed him during a supply raid 18 months ago, and Mac had pledged his expertise to the project ever since. "Anna, how's the navigation system coming along?" Jack called to another corner of the facility. Anna Rice, her slim figure bent over a console, gave a thumbs up. Integrated the salvaged Confederation star charts with the ancient system. It's like they were made for each other. Anna had been a pilot for the human resistance, shot down and left for dead near Jupiter's moons. Jack had found her drifting in an escape pod, nearly out of oxygen. "The power couplings in Section 3 are stable," came another voice from beneath the hull. Rex Donovan, with his wild gray hair and oil-stained coveralls, rolled out from under the massive structure. A mechanical genius who could fix anything with moving parts, Rex had joined the project after Confederation forces destroyed his repair shop on Mars Colony, claiming he was violating technology restrictions. From a platform above them all, Davis Morgan monitored the operation. The former military strategist had a calm demeanor that hid a brilliant tactical mind. He had been working as a janitor in a Confederation outpost, hiding his true identity, when Jack recruited him. "Forward shield generators are showing a 200% increase over our initial estimates," Davis reported. "If these readings are correct, this ship could withstand direct hits from a Confederation dreadnought." Together, they formed an unlikely crew, outcasts and rebels united by a common purpose. The ship they were building, piece by salvaged piece, represented more than just a vessel. It was humanity's chance to break free from the chains the Confederation had placed on them. The Phoenix, as Jack had named it, was taking shape. Its hull was a patchwork of different metals and alloys, some from the original ancient vessel, others salvaged from various wrecks. Its systems were a hybrid of technologies spanning millennia and species, integrated in ways their original designers never imagined. "We're breaking every rule in the book," Rex often said with a grin. Mixing technologies like this should be impossible. But Jack had discovered something extraordinary about human minds. They weren't bound by the same rigid thinking patterns as many Confederation species. Where others saw incompatible systems, humans saw possibilities for connection. The Phoenix's greatest strength was its irregular design, impossible to predict or counter using standard Confederation tactics. Late one night, when the others had retired to their quarters, Jack stood alone in the main chamber, staring up at the nearly completed ship. Its dark hull absorbed the light, making it seem like a hole in reality rather than a physical object. Only the occasional gleam of metal or flicker of an activated system revealed its true nature. "Almost there," he whispered to himself. The last major component, the ancient power cord he discovered in the original wreckage, still lay on a workbench nearby. Despite years of study, Jack and his crew hadn't fully deciphered its technology. It utilized an energy source unknown to the Confederation, something that seemed to draw power from subspace itself, creating energy without apparent fuel or waste. Integrating it would be their final and most dangerous step. The next morning, the crew gathered around the power core, each face showing a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Once we connect this," Jack explained, "there's no going back. If it works, the Phoenix will have more power than any ship its size in the galaxy. If it doesn't," he left the possibility unspoken. "We've come too far to turn back now," Anna said firmly. Davis nodded. "The risk is acceptable given the potential strategic advantage." "Let's light this candle," Rex added with a grin. Max simply gave a thumbs up, his usual response to any challenge. Together, they moved the power core into position at the heart of the ship. Jack had designed a special chamber for it, surrounded by containment fields based on multiple technologies. As they secured the final connections, the ancient device began to pulse with the same blue light Jack had seen when he first discovered it. Power levels rising, Rex called out, monitoring the readings. "Steady, steady, it's working." The blue light spread through dedicated channels throughout the ship, flowing like liquid energy through the veins of some massive beast. Systems began to activate one by one, consoles lighting up, engines humming with potential energy. Then something unexpected happened. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the bridge, swirling patterns of light that gradually coalesced into a humanoid shape, neither male nor female, with features that seemed to shift subtly moment by moment. "Vessel activation protocol initiated," it announced in a voice that somehow reached their minds without passing through their ears. "I am the ship's integrated neural network, designation Cyan, identifying new crew." The 5 humans stood frozen in amazement. None of them had programmed this AI. "This must be part of the original ship's systems," Jack whispered. The AI seemed to focus on Jack. "Commander identified. Awaiting mission parameters." Jack exchanged looks with his crew, then straightened his shoulders and addressed the AI directly. "Our mission is freedom. The Phoenix will break the chains that bind humanity." Sen's form flickered. "Mission accepted." beginning integration with current systems. Around them, the Phoenix seemed to come alive. Displays showed the AI rapidly analyzing and optimizing the ship's hybrid systems, finding connections and possibilities they hadn't even considered. "It's learning," Anna said in wonder, "adapting to our modifications and improving them," Rex added, watching the diagnostics. "Look at the efficiency ratings. They're climbing by the second." The integration process continued for hours, with Cyan occasionally requesting information about certain technologies or asking for clarification on their purposes. By midnight, the AI announced completion. "The Phoenix is ready for operation," Sin stated. "All systems functional. May I suggest commencing flight tests at your earliest convenience?" Jack looked around at his exhausted but exhilarated crew. Against all odds, they had done it. They had created something unprecedented. A ship made from the discarded pieces of a dozen civilizations, powered by ancient technology, and guided by an AI that predated the Confederation itself. "Tomorrow," Jack decided, "we see if she can fly." As the others retired to rest before the momentous day ahead, Jack remained on the bridge, running his hand along a console that blended sleek ancient design with rough-hewn human modifications. "Tomorrow," he repeated softly to himself, "everything changes." Outside the asteroid, the stars continued their eternal vigil, unaware that a force was about to emerge that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The asteroid facility's massive doors groaned open for the first time in 3 years. Inside, the Phoenix waited, its dark hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Jack stood on the bridge with his crew, each at their stations, faces illuminated by the soft glow of their consoles. "All systems green," Rex reported from engineering, his fingers dancing across the hybrid controls. "Power core stable at 40% capacity. Weapon systems online and ready," Mac confirmed, his scared face split by a rare smile. "Still can't believe we got these working." Anna sat at the pilot's station, her hands hovering over the controls. "Navigation is set for our test route. Minimal Confederation presence expected in that sector." Davis monitored the tactical display. "Exit path is clear. No patrol ships detected within sensor range." Jack took a deep breath and settled into the commander's chair. This was the moment they had worked toward for so long, the maiden voyage of a ship that shouldn't exist. "Sen, are you with us?" Jack asked. The AI's holographic form appeared beside him, all systems integrated and functioning within optimal parameters. "I am ready to assist, Commander." Jack nodded and gave the order they had all been waiting for. "Take us out, Anna." Nice and easy. Anna's fingers connected with the controls, and the Phoenix hummed to life. The ship rose smoothly from its cradle, hovering for a moment before gliding forward through the open doors and into the darkness of space. "Thrusters responding perfectly," Anna reported, her voice tight with concentration. "Better than the simulations." Once clear of the asteroid, Anna engaged the main engines. The Phoenix surged forward with unexpected power, pushing them all back in their seats. "Whoa," Rex called out, engine output exceeding predictions by 30%. Jack gripped his chair arms. "Sin, what's happening?" "I have optimized engine efficiency based on crew intent and situational parameters," the AI replied calmly. "The Phoenix is performing within safe operational limits." As they accelerated away from their hidden base, Jack ordered a series of maneuvers to test the ship's capabilities. The Phoenix responded with incredible agility for a vessel its size, turning and banking smoothly despite its patchwork construction. "Let's test the stealth systems," Jack commanded once they were safely away from any known travel routes. Rex activated the system they had cobbled together from salvaged Confederation scout ships and components from the original ancient vessel. The lights on the bridge dimmed as power redirected. "Stealth system engage," Rex confirmed. "But we won't know if it's working until something tries to scan us." They wouldn't have to wait long for that test. Davis suddenly straightened at his console. "Picking up a distress signal," he announced. "Human frequency, coming from the Proxima outpost road. Put it through, Jack ordered. A frantic voice crackled over the comm system. Mayday, mayday. This is Colony Transport Horizon. We are under attack by Confederation patrol ships. They claim we violated territorial restrictions. We have families aboard. Please, anyone. The message dissolved into static. Jack looked around at his crew, seeing his own decision reflected in their faces. The test flight had just become a rescue mission. Anna, set course for the Horizon's coordinates, maximum speed. Mac, ready weapons but don't power up yet. We'll use stealth to approach. The Phoenix changed course, its engines pushing to new limits as they raced toward the distress call. When they arrived at the coordinates, they found a grim scene. A bulky human colony ship drifting with visible damage to its engines, surrounded by 3 sleek Confederation patrol vessels firing warning shots. They're ordering the colonists to prepare for boarding, Davis reported, monitoring the communications. Standard procedure before they impound a ship for territorial violations. The colonists will be processed and likely separated. Jack had seen the results of such processing before. Families torn apart, assigned to different labor camps across Confederation space, children placed in education centers to be taught obedience. Not today, he said firmly. Sin, tactical analysis. How can we disable those patrol ships without destroying them? The AI's holographic form expanded the tactical display. The Confederation vessels are T-class patrol ships with standard shield configurations. Their propulsion systems are vulnerable when they maintain stationary positions as they are now. Precision strikes here, and here would disable their ability to pursue without causing catastrophic damage. Jack nodded. Anna, bring us in behind the largest patrol ship. Mac, target those points Cyan indicated. Rex, prepare to drop stealth for weapons fire, then immediately reactivate. The Phoenix slid silently through space, invisible to the Confederation ship's sensors. When they were in position, Jack gave the command. Now. The stealth field dropped. Before the Confederation ships could react, the Phoenix fired 3 precise bursts from weapons that combined ancient technology with modern modifications. The effect was immediate. The patrol ship's engines sputtered and died, leaving it drifting helplessly. Stealth re-engaged. Rex called out as Anna banked the Phoenix sharply to reposition. The remaining Confederation ships scrambled to respond, but they were firing blindly, unable to get a lock on the suddenly invisible attacker. They're signaling for reinforcements, Davis reported. Then we need to finish this quickly, Jack decided. Same approach, next target. The Phoenix appeared and disappeared like a ghost, striking with surgical precision. Within minutes, all 3 patrol ships were drifting with disabled engines and weapons, their crews untouched but helpless. Open a channel to the horizon, Jack ordered. A stunned-looking captain appeared on screen. Who are you? Friends, Jack replied simply. Can your ship still move? The captain nodded. Barely. We have minimal engine function. Then go now. Head for the Reynolds Nebula. The radiation will hide you until you can make repairs. The patrol ships are disabled, but they've called for backup. Thank you, the captain said, eyes wide with disbelief. But what ship are you? I've never seen anything like it on our side. Jack smiled. We're the Phoenix, and we're just getting started. As the Phoenix escorted the colony ship to the edge of the nebula, word of the encounter spread rapidly through the comm channels used by humans across the sector. By the time the Confederation sent reinforcements, both ships had vanished, the Phoenix back to its hidden base, and the horizon deep into the nebula's concealing clouds. In a Confederation command center, Admiral Corres reviewed the patrol ship's fragmentary sensor readings with growing concern. Show me again, he demanded of his officers. The grainy footage showed a vessel unlike any in their database. A dark hull of mixed materials, weapons that cut through shields like they weren't there, and the ability to vanish from sensors completely. Find me everything on this, Phoenix, he ordered, and get me Commander Vex. This is now his priority mission. Back at their asteroid base, Jack and his crew celebrated their first successful mission. What had begun as a test flight had become something more, a declaration that humanity would no longer accept its chains. To the Phoenix, Jack toasted, raising a cup with his crew. And to freedom. None of them yet realized just how much their actions that day would change the course of galactic history. Word spread through human settlements like wildfire. A mysterious ship had appeared from nowhere, defeated 3 Confederation patrol vessels without destroying them, and vanished again. Some called it a ghost story. Others named it hope. In his quarters aboard the Phoenix, Jack studied the latest intelligence Davis had gathered. 4 months had passed since their first encounter with Confederation forces, and in that time, they had conducted 7 more operations, freeing a human labor camp on Europa, intercepting a prisoner transport, and disrupting Confederation supply lines. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called. Anna entered, her expression serious. "We got another distress signal. Human mining outpost in the Cirrus Belt. Confederation forces are relocating them for alleged resource theft." Jack nodded grimly. Standard excuse. They find a rich vein. Suddenly humans are stealing resources and need to be moved. He grabbed his jacket. "Gather the crew. We leave in 20 minutes. On the bridge, Sen's holographic form greeted them. "Commander, before departure, I must share important findings from my analysis of Confederation communications." "Go ahead," Jack said, settling into his chair. The AI displayed a series of decoded messages on the main screen. "I have detected an unusual pattern in high-level Confederation communications regarding humanity. There are repeated references to something called the prophecy in relation to human containment policies." The crew exchanged puzzled looks. "What prophecy?" Mac asked, voicing what they all wondered. "Details are fragmentary," Sin replied. "However, I have compiled enough references to suggest that Confederation leadership believes an ancient prediction identifies humans as crucial to facing some future threat." "That makes no sense," Rex objected. "If we're so important, why keep us caged like animals?" Sen's form flickered slightly. "The most probable explanation based on available data. Fear. The Confederation fears human potential. This explains the systematic suppression of human technological advancement while simultaneously preserving the species." Jack frowned. "They're keeping us like a tool in a box, making sure we don't grow too powerful, but keeping us around in case they need us." "Precisely," Sen confirmed. "And there is more. Commander Vex, who has been assigned to neutralize the Phoenix, has been given unprecedented resources for this task. The Phoenix is now officially designated as Galaxy's Most Wanted, with a bounty sufficient to purchase a small moon." Davis gave a low whistle. "We've touched a nerve." "Good," Jack said firmly. "Let's touch another one. Anna, set course for the Cirrus mining outpost. Mac, weapons ready. Rex, I want the stealth systems at maximum efficiency." As they departed their hidden base, none of them noticed the tiny probe that had attached itself to an asteroid nearby, recording their exit trajectory. The mission to Ceres went smoothly, perhaps too smoothly. The Confederation forces surrendered quickly when the Phoenix appeared, barely putting up a fight. "Something's not right," Jack muttered as they escorted the freed miners to safety. That was too easy. His suspicions proved correct. As they turned to head home, 3 Confederation battlecruisers dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in their path. "Ambush," Davis called out, as the tactical display lit up with enemy signals. A face appeared on their communication screen, an alien with pale blue skin and eyes like black glass. "Phoenix, this is Commander Vex of the Confederation Security Force. You are surrounded. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded." Jack signaled Mac to cut the transmission. "Options?" he asked his crew. "We can't outgun 3 battlecruisers," Mac stated flatly. "But we might outmaneuver them," Anna suggested. Their formation has a weak spot near the gravitational distortion from that nearby dwarf star. It's risky, Davis warned. Those gravity wells are unpredictable. Jack turned to Sin. Analysis. The AI's form expanded, displaying complex calculations. With precise timing, we can use the star's gravitational field to slingshot past the blockade. However, this will require pushing the power core to 85% capacity, higher than we have previously attempted. Jack made his decision. Do it. Rex, give the engines everything they can take. Anna, plot the slingshot course. What followed was a desperate race toward the dwarf star, with 3 battle cruisers in pursuit, firing constantly. The Phoenix shuddered under repeated hits, its shields holding but weakening. Shields at 40% and dropping. Rex called out. Almost there, Anna replied through gritted teeth, her hands dancing across the controls as she guided the ship toward the precise point, where the star's gravity would help rather than trap them. Confederation ships are spreading out to cut off escape routes, Davis reported. Jack held tight to his chair. Stay on course. Sin, divert all non-essential power to shields and engines. As they approached the gravitational threshold, the Phoenix began to shudder violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. Power core at 82% and climbing. Rex shouted over the noise. Hull integrity holding, but we're pushing the limits. Now, Anna, Jack commanded as they reached the critical point. Anna executed the maneuver perfectly. The Phoenix curved around the star's gravitational well, picking up tremendous speed. Behind them, one of the pursuing battlecruisers misjudged the approach and was caught in a stronger gravity field, its engines struggling to break free. It worked, Anna exclaimed as they shot past the blockade. Setting course for. A massive impact rocked the ship. Commander Vex's flagship had anticipated their move and positioned itself to fire a parting shot as they passed. Engine 2 is down, Rex reported urgently. Power fluctuations throughout the ship. Can we make it home? Jack asked. Rex shook his head. Not directly. We need repairs. Jack made a quick decision. Set course for the Omega Nebula. We have allies there. The Phoenix limped away, its stealth systems engaged but flickering, just barely staying ahead of pursuit. They reached the nebula's edge and vanished into its concealing gases and radiation, finally losing their pursuers. The nebula harbored a secret few knew, a coalition of alien species who disagreed with Confederation policies. These species, considered primitive or unimportant by Confederation standards, had been watching the Phoenix's activities with growing interest. When the damaged ship arrived at their hidden outpost, they welcomed Jack and his crew not as fugitives, but as heroes. Your resistance gives hope to many, said Trill, the leader of the coalition, a small, amphibious being whose species had been relegated to water worlds the Confederation deemed worthless. We have heard of your exploits. The Phoenix has become a symbol. As the coalition's engineers helped repair their ship, Jack shared what Cian had discovered about the prophecy. Trill's large eyes widened. This confirms our suspicions. Our oldest records speak of a great darkness that once swept the galaxy, a threat that returns in cycles. If the Confederation fears humans may be key to fighting this threat, then they want to control us, keep us weak but available. Jack finished. Like a weapon they can use when needed, then lock away again. Trill nodded solemnly. But the Phoenix has changed the equation. You have shown that humans can master technologies the Confederation cannot control. As Jack looked around at the Coalition's hidden base, where species from across the galaxy worked together, free from Confederation hierarchy, a new vision formed in his mind. The Phoenix wasn't just a ship anymore. It was the beginning of a revolution. Back in Confederation space, Commander Vex stood before the High Council, his failure evident to all. The Phoenix escaped, but suffered significant damage, he reported. More importantly, we have tracked their general heading. They are seeking allies among the outer species. The eldest council member leaned forward. This cannot be allowed. If humans gain the support of even the lesser species, they could upset the balance. And if the prophecy is correct, if the Devourers truly return, I will find them, Vex promised. This ship of scrap metal and its human crew will not threaten our order. But even as he spoke, signals were spreading throughout the galaxy. Stories of the Phoenix, the ship that defied the mighty Confederation. For the first time in centuries, the established powers of the galaxy felt something they had almost forgotten. Fear. The warning came without fanfare, a simple signal from a distant monitoring station at the edge of known space. Something massive was moving toward Confederation territory, consuming everything in its path. In the Grand Council chamber, representatives from all 12 major Confederation species gathered in emergency session, their usual disputes forgotten in the face of extinction. The Devourers have returned, announced High Elder Corax, his voice echoing through the chamber. The ancient enemy, just as the prophecy foretold. Fear rippled through the assembly. The Devourers were more legend than history, a hive-mind species that had nearly destroyed galactic civilization 100,000 years ago before mysteriously retreating into the void between galaxies. Our fleets are mobilizing, the military commander reported, but early engagements have been concerning. Devourer ships adapt quickly to our weapons. Conventional tactics are ineffective. Amid the growing panic, Commander Vex stepped forward. For months, he had hunted the Phoenix without success. Now he saw opportunity in disaster. The humans, he suggested. The prophecy speaks of them. Perhaps we should. Absolutely not, shouted another council member. Giving humans more technology now. They already have that rogue ship causing chaos. The argument might have continued, but at that moment, the chamber's main screen activated without command. Sin's holographic form appeared before the stunned council. Greetings, Confederation leaders, the AI said calmly. The Phoenix wishes to open negotiations. Aboard the Phoenix, fully repaired and enhanced with technologies from their coalition allies, Jack and his crew watched the council's reaction through Sin's remote connection. Think they'll listen? Mac asked, cleaning his weapons out of habit. They have no choice, Davis said. The Devourers have already destroyed 3 outer Confederation worlds. Their standard tactics are failing. Jack nodded grimly. The prophecy was about this. The Devourers return. The ancients who built our ship fought them before. Sin has the memories. Over the past month, Sin had unlocked more of the ship's original database, revealing the terrible truth. The ancient species that built the Phoenix's core had battled the Devourers to near extinction. Before they were wiped out, they had scattered pieces of their technology across the galaxy, along with a prediction that someday, a species with the right mental flexibility would reassemble it to fight when the Devourers returned. The Council is responding, Sin announced. On their screen, Commander Vex appeared, his expression a mixture of anger and desperation. Phoenix, your interference in Confederation affairs is criminal, but current circumstances are exceptional. What do you propose? Jack leaned forward. A truce. We join forces against the Devourers. In return, humanity is granted full independence and member status in the Confederation afterward. Impossible, Vex spluttered. The Council would never. The Devourer fleet will reach your core worlds in 16 days, Jack interrupted. By then, you'll have lost half your military capacity, based on current engagement reports. We've analyzed their attack patterns. We can help. A tense silence followed. Finally, Vex spoke. I will convey your offer to the Council. But know this, human, if this is some trick to gain advantage. It's not about advantage anymore, Jack said quietly. It's about survival. For all of us. 3 days later, the Phoenix led a coalition of ships toward the approaching Devourer fleet. Behind them flew Confederation forces, a reluctant alliance born of desperation. On the Phoenix's bridge, Jack studied the tactical display showing the massive Devourer ships, organic-looking vessels that seemed to pulse with dark energy. They're beautiful, in a terrifying way, Anna observed from the pilot's station. And deadly, added Davis. Those lead ships have already adapted to standard Confederation weapons. Energy-based attacks are mostly ineffective now. Jack turned to Sinan. What's our advantage? The AI's holographic form expanded to show a detailed analysis. The Devourers operate as a hive mind. They adapt quickly but think collectively. They expect logical, predictable responses based on previous encounters. And we're anything but predictable, Rex said with a grim smile. Exactly, Jack agreed. Our ship is a patchwork of technologies they've never encountered together. Our human minds think differently than the Confederation species. We're the wild card. So what's the plan? Mac asked, his fingers hovering over the weapon's controls. Jack outlined their strategy. The Phoenix would penetrate to the heart of the Devourer fleet, targeting what Sin identified as their command node. Meanwhile, the Coalition and Confederation forces would provide distraction and cover. It's a suicide mission, Commander Vex objected over the comlink. Maybe, Jack acknowledged. But it's the only way. Your ships can't get close enough anymore. They're too predictable. The Devourers adapt to each attack, but the Phoenix, they won't know what to make of us. As they approached the massive enemy fleet, Jack addressed his crew one last time. Whatever happens today, remember what we built. A ship from discarded pieces that became something new, something powerful. Just like humanity will be after today, no longer forgotten or restricted, but recognized for what we can become. The battle began with a coordinated attack from the combined fleet. The Phoenix, using its advanced stealth technology, slipped through the chaos toward the heart of the enemy formation. Stealth failing, Rex reported as they penetrated deeper. They're starting to detect us. That's expected, Jack replied calmly. Sin, initiate Protocol Omega. The AI acknowledged the command, and the Phoenix began to change. The power core surged to 100% capacity for the first time, energy flowing through every system in patterns that shifted constantly, never establishing a recognizable signature. They can't adapt to what they can't predict, Jack explained as enemy fire began to track them. Keep changing our approach, random patterns, just like we practiced. Anna flew with inspired brilliance, never maintaining a course long enough for the Devourers to lock on. Mac fired the weapons in seemingly illogical combinations that nonetheless found their targets with devastating effect. The Phoenix shuddered under enemy fire, shields weakening but holding. Around them, the battle raged, with Confederation ships falling to the Devourers' adaptive defenses, while the Coalition vessels fared slightly better with their unconventional technologies. We're almost at the command node, Davis reported, his voice tight. But our shields are at 15%. One direct hit, and we're finished. Then we don't get hit, Jack said simply. Anna, give us everything. Rex, divert all remaining power to engines and weapons. The Phoenix surged forward in a final burst of speed, taking damage but still advancing. They reached the massive central ship, a pulsing behemoth that coordinated the entire Devourer fleet. Target locked, Mac announced, firing main cannon. The weapon, a hybrid of ancient technology and human innovation, fired a beam of energy unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. It struck the command node, penetrating shields that had repelled every Confederation weapon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Devourer command ship began to pulse erratically. Throughout the enemy fleet, ships suddenly lost coordination, their movements becoming confused and disorganized. It's working, Davis exclaimed. Their hive mind is disrupted. Jack nodded, allowing himself a brief smile. Send the signal to all Allied ships. Attack now, while they're vulnerable. The Phoenix, badly damaged but still functioning, turned to join the counterattack. The combined fleet fell upon the disorganized Devourers with renewed vigor, targeting the weak points Cyan had identified. What followed was the most decisive battle in the galaxy's recent history. Without their coordinated hive mind, the Devourer ships fell one by one. The Phoenix, despite its damage, continued to fight until the last enemy vessel was destroyed or retreating. When it was over, Jack stood before the Confederation Council, his crew beside him. The Phoenix, now legendary throughout the galaxy, orbited the Confederation capital world, no longer hiding, but honored. "You have fulfilled the prophecy," High Elder Corax acknowledged. Humanity proved to be exactly what the ancients foresaw, a species whose unpredictability and adaptability could counter the Devourer hive mind. "And our agreement?" Jack prompted. Commander Vex stepped forward, his previous animosity replaced by grudging respect. "The Council has voted. Humanity is granted full independence and Confederation membership, with all rights and privileges." Jack nodded, accepting the victory they had fought so hard to achieve. But he knew this was just the beginning. The Phoenix, a ship made from scrap that had become the galaxy's biggest threat, then its salvation, represented a new path forward. "The old barriers between species must end," Jack told the Council. "Our coalition proved that diversity of thought and technology creates strength, not weakness. The Phoenix isn't just a human achievement. It's a testament to what can be accomplished when we combine our unique perspectives." As Jack and his crew returned to their ship, they looked toward a future where humanity would take its rightful place among the stars, not as servants or tools, but as equals. The ship that had started as a collection of discarded parts had changed the course of galactic history forever. And somewhere in deep space, the last Devourer ships retreated, carrying with them the knowledge that they had encountered something unprecedented, a galaxy that had learned to turn its differences into its greatest strength.